All right, so I'm gonna walk through it now. You can either do another one along with me, or you can just watch them do it on your own. So the reason why we choose to do contour line drawings of hands is it's the most readily available thing that you can always draw. It involves proportion, it involves attention to detail, and it of course involves looking at something to draw it rather than looking at like a picture. So that's why it's a good thing to start with. It's a good confidence booster because in most cases I've seen, everyone's before and after is quite a big difference unless someone has drawn hands a lot. Or at least their before and their project after is a big difference. So it helps boost drawing confidence because it's something that looks like it would be complicated, but if you pay attention, it's really not. So with contour line, a good practice to get into when practicing is trying not to use this. So if you have a mistaked line, you just back out of it with your pencil and you make a correction. It might look kind of messy, but then you can see those mistakes you made and then see the fixes that you made after. So it's kind of like almost just leaving your history of that drawing there instead of erasing and correcting. Now in the finished project, you can of course erase the mistakes and everything, but as we're practicing, just try to do a continuous line if you can, and I'll show you how to do that. So for the hand, if it does help to draw out kind of a blueprint, you can. What that means is you're just drawing out a really light palm. It's almost like a rounded trapezoid type shape. And then almost like a mitten shape here. It comes up, points around the middle, which is where your middle finger is, and then curves down. And then about halfway down the left side of your palm here, you can just kind of draw a mitten thumb. Now we'll obviously shape those out more so that they have more actual form to them and look like a hand. But for now, we're almost drawing like a mitten shape. Now we can start kind of drawing over that. So with continuous contour lines, again, you don't want to lift your pencil. I'm going to start at the wrist, and I'm just kind of looking back and forth between my hand and my paper. There is a kind of contour line drawing where they cover your paper. So there's like a box over your paper, and you're looking at your hand and you're drawing, and you have no idea what you're drawing, and it looks ridiculous. But that's another challenge, but I won't make you guys do that. So again, every little line you see, create it, and then you can back out of it. So I'm even creating these little wrist bend lines. And I'm coming up to my thumb. I have some little creases here. I have my knuckle creases. And then at the angle I'm at, my fingernail is kind of at the side. And then I can start up here, bring it down. And one thing with fingers is it's nice that they have all these lines because you can make sure on your drawing that they're lining up the same way they are on your hand. So even with like these bend lines here and then slight bend lines here, they line up with each other. So I'm not going to have these like down here. So it helps you keep the proportions kind of naturally because you're having to almost follow along these benchmarks of your hand. And this webbing section usually has multiple creases in it. Now the palm lines you can either do now and just kind of trail down, or you can do them when you get over here and create them there. I'm going to just continue on to my finger. Now, when we get to this part of the hand, it's important to not do them straight across. So you're not going to have this line that just cuts across. That's why it's important to go finger by finger, because you can see where they rise, they go down, this one goes way down. So you're really following along with the lines that you actually see. And also the spacing. So my little diagram here was kind of scrunched, so I'm actually going to go a little bit higher than it is. And I'm really trying to match that proportion. Now, one way to do proportions is just to look at your hand and be like, okay, my thumb's this long. If I go like this, the length is a little bit past there. So if I want to make sure this is the right length, I can go like this, and then my top or my bottom of my index finger kind of starts right there. I'm also drawing it like an angle, so it might be a little bit of forced perspective here. I'm just kind of doing this quickly at first. I can always make some corrections if I notice some glaring issues. But at first, I am just, in fact, I'm going to lower this a little bit, going kind of quickly to just get it jotted down. Now, my middle finger is only a little bit higher than my index. And here's when I can start paying attention to all these lines. So this line's slightly higher than this one. This one's way higher than this one. Everyone's fingers are a little bit different though. Some people, these two fingers are equal. Mine's about equal. Some, they're different. So you really have to look at your hand and the proportions of yours. Now my ring finger here, it's down more at an angle. So I'm going to create that line. If you have rings on, you can choose to draw those or not. I'm just going to skip mine for now. This line is definitely lower than that one. It's even lower than this one. I'm really paying attention to where those line up. It's almost like your fingers have their own rulers and you just have to line them up. My pinky's at a pretty harsh angle, at least mine is. And this one, this line's like halfway between these two. So I'm gonna really pay attention to that. Your pinky also tends to be a larger space than these. So if your hand's open, just always keep in mind this space is gonna be a little bit larger. This almost lines up with that for me, just slightly higher. And the tip of my pinky kind of lines right up with that line there. Now I'm getting into the palm region, so I'm going to put in my palm lines. And then I am done. So there is my palm drawing. All continuous line, it looks kind of messy, but this is the point where if this was like your actual project, you would then erase some of these sketchy lines, and then you would come in and really delineate where the contour lines that you kind of feel are solid are good. Okay. So now let's have you guys on your after try one more, but with continuous lines. So that means don't erase. And try not to lift your pencil. Now with the palm lines, they're not really connected to anything, so you can't really help that, but try not to look and right, lift your pencil. So those are the main two things. Okay, so let's try one more with those two things this time. Remember, you can start with that mitten as a base if you'd like to.